the biggest entrepreneur platform on the planet. This is Business Rockstars. I'm Alex Worley, and this is Business Rockstars. And today's rock star, Mike Whitmire. He's the co-founder and CEO of Flowcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so start out by telling us, what is Flowcast?
Flowcast is closed management software. So we're software that's built by accountants for accountants, and our goal is to help teams close the books faster and more accurately.
And you know that this is a really great solution for accountants because you used to be one yourself. Yeah. And so you were very familiar with those pain points. So tell me about some of those experiences leading up to creating this company. Yeah,
despite being, kind of a nerdy accounting space, it's certainly near and dear to my heart and a pain point I was dealing with. So started off my career as an auditor, kind of learning the ropes on the accounting side, really working with businesses and entertainment companies here in Los Angeles. So got my feet wet in that, and then decided to hop out of audit and actually move into the accounting world. Moved over to a software company. Noticed we had a lot of pain points around this very kind of specific process that we went through every month, and realized that there should be a better way to do this, and wanted to build some software to help with that problem. And just kind of had the light bulb moment, one day in a status update meeting was where it occurred. Thought about it for a couple weeks, did some market research, and just jumped ship from there and decided to start Flowcast.
So what were some of the biggest problems that you encountered that you now have solutions for?
It was, for us, we were a fairly large team, and we were growing really quickly. So when I joined, there were about 5 of us on the team. And over the course of 3 years, we scaled up to 50 within the department. And when you're growing like that, a lot of things are changing within your business, within your department. And so we had a really simple problem of just kind of herding the cats and keeping everyone on the same page. And with that, there's not a ton of accountability or visibility with what your team and your employees are doing. So our software comes in and adds a layer of collaboration and then accountability and visibility so you can understand how your team's working.
That's great. And obviously working for another company versus owning your own is a big difference. Yeah. So what inspired you to want to become an entrepreneur?
I've always wanted to since I was a kid. I did take start a career because I wanted to learn the ropes and kind of see what the real business world was like before jumping ship and doing my own thing. But the inspiration actually started really young from both of my parents. My dad was a tax attorney and then left that field and started a couple of his own businesses as an entrepreneur. But my mom really was I would say the main inspiration. So when we were younger, or when I was younger, I think my parents got divorced around 8 or 9, and she decided that she needed to pay the bills, but also wanted flexibility to be able to help, see her kids grow and see what life was like from there. And I remember being 9 and actually sitting at Wells Fargo and watching her close the small business loan for her to start her own CPA firm. So she opened up a CPA firm, started providing bookkeeping, accounting, business operations advice to different people. And that was back in '93. And so she's now still running that business, was able to support 3 kids, raise a family, and never miss a sporting event, never miss a recital or anything like that. So that was really
that story.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. So what are some of the main things you learned from watching her be an entrepreneur while you grew up?
Well, one is that she was pretty much on call around the clock. You as much as you do have flexibility, it is your entire life. That's what you do, and so it takes up a lot of time. And it's a grind. She's a very hard worker. It took her a while to build up the practice and get it to the point where was operating smoothly and making a good revenue stream. So just I think the amount of work and effort that goes into doing that, seeing her do that during my childhood was really impressive, and just sets the tone of like, hey, this is not easy. When you start a company, it's going to be like this, and true to form, that is exactly how it's been so far.
And it teaches you work ethic. So now you got to work hard to get things done.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was great.
So when you did decide that you wanted to start this business, what were a few of the first steps that you had to take?
So my first steps were, I was founding an enterprise software company, and so I knew that I had to have some kind of legitimate funding behind me. It's very hard for someone like myself to just go and sell to a company and say, hey, I'm one guy with a piece of software, would you like to buy from me? No legitimate business is going to do that. So for me, step one was raising a little bit of money. To do that, I had to find a co-founder. That was step one. And so I knew no one in the tech community or the development world or anything, but I needed a co-founder to build the first version of our product. To do that, I actually used like a founder dating website.
No way. What is it called?
Yeah, it's legitimately called founderdating.com. I think they used to be cofounderslab.com at the time, so a little less obvious.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's basically literally you post a profile. Here's what I do. Here's what I want to do. Then
do you swipe right?
Yeah.
And
No, I'm sure they might have evolved to that. They've had 3 years of development since then. They very well could have. But yeah, we met through that. I talked to maybe like 30 or 40 different candidates, and my co-founder Colin Zanster and I ended up syncing up and just really enjoy working together. Through the early phases, had some meetings, and then he and I applied to an incubator program here in Los Angeles, and we got accepted a couple months after we had met.
How do you date, your possible co-founder to make sure they are a good fit to start this really big venture?
Yeah. Well, I think something that I just realized probably like 18 months ago, which is 18 months into starting my company, is that entrepreneurship is just sales over and over again. It's selling everything. It's selling yourself, your business, your product. And so I approached it like a sales cycle. So I go onto founderdating.com, start searching around a bunch of profiles. I have my spreadsheet open where I'm tracking, hey, who's going to be a good fit for me, who's not. I get it down to 40 candidates I thought would be a good fit. Came up with a message, crafted one message, generic, and just started blasting that out to everyone. Of the 40, I got responses from about 30, had coffee or lunch with all 30, and then decided, if they thought the market was a good fit, if we thought we'd be a good fit to work together. And after meeting with all those people, it became very clear that Colin was the guy I wanted to work with.
Wow. Okay. So you had your co-founder, and then what was the next step after that?
So the next step after that was we had to build a product and get our first customer. And so Cullen built the first iteration of the product all on his own. It was pretty amazing. I got our first client from there. It's actually a skincare company here in Burbank. They're called Is Clinical. They make kind of fancy dermatology level skincare products. And so once I had gotten a co-founder, a product, and a customer, then I went down to Amplify and did my formal pitch. I got the suit on and everything and was pitching all the partners.
And that was the incubator?
That's the incubator down in Venice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that like, working in that setting?
That was, working in that setting was really cool. So Amplify was a kind of a unique experience for us, I think, because we were a B2B company. They're very helpful for consumer apps. They know that space really well. They're able to help you with, product design, marketing, kind of those areas. Accounting, not so much. That's kind of our expertise. So where Amplify really came into play was with investor network and introductions. They have an incredible network of kind of Series A or B stage venture capitalists. And so we leveraged that really heavily to help raise our next round of funding.
So who would you say that route is for and maybe not for?
I think the Amplify route, or the incubator in general, is...
Incubator in general, yeah.
Yeah, just really, I think anyone who does have ambitions of becoming a VC-backed company, a venture capital, backed company, that's a great stepping stone to get into that world. If you're not, if your goal is, hey, I want to start a company, get it cash flow positive, and have a lifestyle business from thereafter, it's probably not the best fit. But if you're in the tech scene and really looking to kind of go big with something, that's where I think you kind of need to be. You don't need to be there, but it certainly gives you a big leg up if you're coming out of a program. Now,
tech companies and startups have mixed emotions on business plans. So what is your philosophy on the business plan?
I am not a fan of business plans. I think a PowerPoint presentation can summarize your thoughts on it, in enough detail to where an investor can follow your thought pattern and what you want to do with the company. Everything changes so much that kind of getting a plan in place it's a lot of time to do that. And then it's silly to think it's not going to evolve over time.
Totally.
We've had evolution with our business model. And so if I had to go back and every quarter update my business plan, it would just not be a good use of time. And so,
Absolutely.
I have a PowerPoint to kind of keep the train on the tracks and make sure we're going in the right direction and doing what we need to do. But you need to be agile kind of within that thought pattern.
Makes sense. Awesome. We'll be right back with my guest, Mike Whitmire. He is the co-founder and CEO of Flowcast.
Hey, have you ever thought to yourself, I would like to become an entrepreneur? You can join one of the largest communities on the planet now, free. Go to cofounderslab.com. Cofounderslab.com. That's cofounderslab.com.
I'm Alex Worley, and this is Business Rockstars. My guest is Mike Whitmire. He is the co-founder and CEO of Flowcast. And Mike, you were telling me that you make a PowerPoint when you approach investors. What do you include on that PowerPoint that's proven to be very helpful information for them?
So I think when I've done a ton of research, Googling, talking to investors about what they like to see on a PowerPoint, and there are pieces of information that are really important. So, who's on your team, what's the market opportunity you're looking at, what do you actually do, and why do you do it? And then if you do have financial information or numbers, presenting that is really important, and then competitive information as well. But I think what I learned in putting pitch decks together is that it's more about telling a story and a narrative about, hey, here's where we came from, here's why we're doing this, here's what we've done, and here's what we're going to do. That's really kind of how I started to think about pitch decks after doing this a few times. It's not about data points, it's about the narrative and the story and evolution of your company, and then getting investors to buy into where you're going is what you're trying to position. So to me, it was making that switch in my style really helped out from a fundraising perspective. And then the other one is the most important thing to investors is market validation. And so for us, once we started having customer feedback, customer surveys, satisfaction scores come back, we started being able to quantify exactly how happy our customers were. Not to brag, but we have some very happy customers, and so our ratings are kind of off the charts. And as soon as I got,
great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You're allowed to brag here.
Great. So our customers are amazing as well, but we put up really high numbers. And as soon as I got to put that number into my narrative, that was actually really the turning point for me from fundraising. Yeah. And as soon as we did that, like term sheets just kind of started coming in all over the place.
So when it came to scaling, to growing your business, what's been your strategy for that?
We played it pretty conservatively. One of the things we really wanted to make sure we had product market fit before we started selling. So that's kind of a difficult thing to define. When do I have a product that does fit the market that we're going after? It's sort of a soft concept, and I think, took a little longer to get there. And the reason was we wanted to be more conservative with the money that we had raised. So we took an entire year and a half to really sell into the market, get customer feedback, make sure our customers were renewing for their second subscription term. Once we saw that start to evolve, then we felt comfortable spending more money and expanding our go-to-market strategy and then scaling out the team in line with that. So this is in 2015, we played it a little slow. 2016 continued to play it slow. And now we're really comfortable that we have product market fit. We're accelerating spend. We just doubled down on headcount within the last quarter. So we went from 17 to 35 now. We're going to add another 20 or 25 employees this year, open up a second office for sales, and really kind of go for it from there. So we're at that point where we feel like we have product market fit. We know customers are happy, and we're ready to just put our foot on the gas.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I know a lot of entrepreneurs, they get really infatuated with quantity versus quality at first, and really making sure that the customers you do have, even if there aren't a lot of them, are really, really happy, and then branching out from there. Yeah. So as you mentioned, you had to hire new people. What's been your strategy for hiring good people and then keeping them? Yeah, so keeping good people to me is actually kind of the easier part. My co-founders and I were all early 30s. We came out of the corporate world, and we were also at not the lower ranks, but kind of the, staff or senior level, manager level. So we knew how we wanted to be treated when we founded the company. And so we just try to treat our employees the way we'd like to be treated when we're in those levels. So we have a super relaxed dress code. I don't see why you need to dress up to go to work and be efficient. Like, I have guys who have, wearing sleeveless shirts to the office here and there, and those shoes seem to be optional occasionally, but I don't care. Awesome. I don't care because the team delivers, they execute on what they need to do. I think if you just give them freedom, if you hire great people, give them freedom and don't put barriers in front of them and be cool, that's how you retain good talent. Yeah. Hiring is the really hard part. It's, the most important thing we've learned is reference checking, but most importantly, back channel reference checking. So the ones they put in front of you, they better all be good reference checks, the ones that are provided by the potential employee. It's the ones that you go, oh, you used to work at this company. Okay, I know someone over there. Let me reach out to them and get feedback. Kind of. So go beyond their reference. Yeah, sheet. You have to go wide with it, because that's how you get the real feedback. And another one is when you're interviewing salespeople. I really like this one, is speaking to someone who bought from them.
So then they get a sense. I want to make sure we're putting good salespeople out there and that people enjoy buying from us and enjoy that experience. So whenever we're hiring someone, I ask to speak to one of your customers.
Okay.
And, ask,
so
hey,
you ask them to connect them to the customer.
Say, hey, who's the favorite deal? Who's the biggest deal you've closed so far? Great. Do you mind putting me in touch with the buying contact over there? I'd love to just chat about the experience they had. Yeah.
So when you're trying to find more customers and reaching out to more of them, what's your strategy for that?
So we decided to go the business development route up front because it's a little more expensive and it's less efficient. But the reason I like it over marketing first is because it's more repeatable and you know what you're going to get for those dollars. Now we're layering in the marketing and kind of ramping it up from there.
Makes sense. Okay. Mike, thank you so much for your time. Yeah. Really great stuff. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah. After this short break, more Business Rockstars. Welcome back to Business Rockstars. Now let's go to Mark Lack.
We've got Hannah Liu in the building. She's the CEO and founder of Onco Gambit. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about your company. What do you guys do?
So we are the software that aggregate of the national guideline for the best cancer treatment for cancer patients. And
so what led you to wanting to start this business?
No, I'm a medical oncologist. I've been practicing for more than decades. And I witnessed, or observed that the cancer patients tend to be very anxious and worry and very about their cancers and their treatments. So it just came to me in one of the aha moments, that I'm concerned about the process a patient have to go through, confusion, trying to find the answers.
Yeah.
And we just came to me, why don't we bring the answer to the patients?
What was that process like, create this business? What was that like?
So the first of all is that you have to have a right environment. So we are in the digital era, right? Yeah. Everybody, all the patients will use digital technology to obtain knowledge. And if you type in cancers, if you type in cancer alone, you get 60 million hits, okay? And it's the confusion, it's creating chaos. So it came to me one day, it was like, we know what we're talking about. Why don't I give it in the broader sense for all the patients instead of just one-on-one in the office?
Yeah.
So, just a matter of finding a software developer. I talked to a few of my colleagues first, and then they said, that's a great idea. That will revolutionize the field.
So do they refer people into the app or the software or the
website? Right. So that's what, we have to build it first. And then after we build it, I showed it to them, and they love it.
So it's still being built, or it already is
It's
built?
already done. That portion is already done.
So now are other professionals like you endorsing this and using this for their clients?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Is this a combination of income and impact, or is it just going to be for impact, just going to be helping people? There's no real monetization strategy behind it.
I think for it to survive, it needs to have income and impact, right? You have to understand the current procedure for this is if you have cancer and you see a patient, you see your doctor, they will say, this is the treatment you get. And most patients, if you have some serious illnesses, we usually recommend you to go and get a second opinion. Then you gotta go and, wait for 3 weeks to get all these second opinion, the confusion, that's where it's come from. So having an applications that will bring it to you at home, you can type it in, and we educate you. Like, say, if you have this particular cancer, what do you need to know about that cancer? And then fill out the form, and you pay the small fee. Then you get a personalized report that will bring to your doctor and have a meaningful discussion at a higher level.
Okay. So you actually can talk to somebody on the phone going through the process?
No, it's completely
digital?
Through the software. Okay. Because we will explain to you what the molecular biology of your cancer that you need to know. So all of the information is in the pathology report that you can get from your treating physician. And because all these new standards being updated on a monthly basis, that's why we need a team that's focusing on updating and improving it. So that's where the cost comes from.
And there's over 1,100 different expert doctors
that already agreed on this.
Already agreed to this.
These are the guidelines. These are the national guidelines that they meet like twice a year to discuss and say, you know, you have all these new studies come out, say, wow, this is the best way. And you have to have the expert to sit down and say, is it really the best one to do? Right? Because everybody can say whatever they have will be the best.
Yeah, yeah. How is something like this going to scale? So at the end of the day, lots of people come up with softwares and apps that have incredible potential, but it's the ability as the leader for you and the team around you to take this thing so that it can be utilized by the patients and then also scale from a business standpoint. Do you have ideas and a vision around how that's going to be possible?
We are in talk of collaboration with multiple different groups. That's like patient advocacy groups, you know, all the physicians, insurance companies, medical facilities to introduce that to their patient. And this is also a global application. So now patients in India, they don't have to travel here to get, you know, to get the treatment recommendation. They can just go to our app. It's already been used in more than 99 countries. So, you know, that's how we scaled it, I guess, by letting people know the availability of that and by, you know, collaborate.
We'll be right back with Hannah Liu to talk more about her company.
I think every business starts with the problem that you're solving. The difference for an entrepreneur is we feel the pain and we envision a solution and then we make it reality. Just thinking about that transition from player to coach, and that in the early stages of entrepreneurship, like in the first 15, 20 people in a company, everyone's a player, everyone's doing everything. But once you get to a company with north of 100 people or 200 people, you actually have to love being a coach. You can't desire the shot and taking every shot. And you got to really embrace that you're a coach today. I wanted to be in the NBA. That required talent I didn't have. I wanted to be a rock star. That required talent I didn't have. So by about 11, I knew that what I wanted to be was an entrepreneur. So I think most people who have known me through my life are not surprised I'm doing what I'm doing or that I went right into the internet. I know what my biggest accomplishment will be, and that will be on the tee is sa, 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 and sa. I got 3 little boys, one soon to be 5 and 7. So that's, to me, what I look forward to the most. You gotta understand, I'm a sci-fi guy, so I like where I am today, so I would not give myself any advice. I'm like, make the mistakes, learn, and be where you are right now, because I like today. When you want to give yourself advice, you want to change your life. I'm pretty good with where we are now. It's not perfect, but it's my life and I like it.
This is Business Rockstars. Now back to Mark Lack.
We've got Hannah Liu joining us. She's the CEO and founder of Onco Gambit, a company that you can go to their website platform, and if you or a loved one has cancer, you can get over 1,000 optimal different treatment plans to see what might be the best thing for you. When most people usually get 1 or 2 or 3, your website provides them over 1,000 to give them the certainty and the peace of mind.
No, you get the best treatment plan that agreed by 1,100 cancer experts.
1,100 experts.
Yes.
All in one platform, too. You don't have to go around and deal with the long duration of just getting 1 or 2 or 3.
Right.
You get it all up front.
Right.
Does this cover treatments for 1 or a couple of types of?
For all cancers. That's our goals, yeah.
Okay. It's amazing. And the big vision for this thing is to have it be the go-to platform for doctors to recommend people to go to and for patients to just go to when their loved one is dealing with going through cancer?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. And let's talk about the bootstrapping application of this when you started it, because for a lot of people out there nowadays, the trend is let's raise money, let's go to investors and try to get capital to start our business or grow it. You bootstrapped, which I think is awesome because at the end of the day, it's not really the resources you have that determine your success, it's your resourcefulness. You've been very resourceful, and you've been able to create something out of nothing. And I want to talk about what that was like for you when you were bootstrapping this, and then we'll talk about now you're looking to get funding and why. So talk about what it was like to get this thing started from self-funding yourself.
Right, because you know, we have the skill, we have the knowledge, right? So myself and my friends, so we think it's a good idea. So we sit down and we use our own time for that. My brother is a software developer, and he's and his friend, they like the idea. So we all work together in that aspect that we provide the skill needed for the application.
It's nice. Not everybody has a family member. They're like, well, I have an idea. He's just going to program and code the whole thing for us. So that's obviously something that worked out in your favor. Now, of course, you could have just found somebody who was incredible and gone through that process and then helped.
Right. I mean, you can always talk to somebody that have the skill that you need. As long as you share the same vision, you can sit down together and say, listen, I have an idea. It will work, but you might have to work for free for a while and see where we go. And you have to believe in it too, right?
You have to believe in it. I think that's crucial that you brought that up, because sometimes what we make the mistake of doing as an entrepreneur is finding somebody who might be able to get the job done well or really well, but they don't align with the values and the vision of the company. And so I love that you brought that up, because I think it's so important that you want to make sure the people that are supporting the vision actually believe in it.
Right, and passionate about that too.
Passionate about it,
because that's the one thing I'm looking for people who work with me. Do you care about what we do? You know, if you care about what we do, I see it as you will have up and downs, right?
Always,
so if you have your passion, then you can deal with the down part very well.
And I love that, because it's not talked about enough in entrepreneurship. If it is, it's just kind of brushed under the rug. Like, you got to have passion, but they don't necessarily talk about how everyone in the team that you're growing needs to have it, and how if you can find people who are passionate about it, sometimes they'll do it initially for free or for deferred payment or deferred equity or sweat equity or anything like that, because they believe in the vision and the mission. And sometimes you can create an amazing team that accomplishes incredible things without any money. But again, it's your ability to be resourceful. Why now, though, are you shifting gears and wanting to get funding? I think it's the right move, but let's talk about why, so people can understand the mindset.
Right. We're at the point that we want to expand the platform to bigger. We want to venture into area of virtual reality, right? It's a augmented virtual reality, and rather than just a software. And that required more money that we afford, that we can afford right now. So we're looking for some seed funding, but we're also looking for strategic partners as well. As I said, the passion has to be there. You have to believe in what we do, and you want to help us to help cancer patients. You know, cancer is a disease that we anticipate it continue to go up.
And statistics show in many areas, in some, cancer's gone up, and in other areas it's gone down. But I think that for you to find an investor, they probably will believe in it if they themselves or a family member or a loved one has gone through it. I mean, that's something that I feel like a lot of people truly believe in. And if they haven't been affected with a loved one or a person close to them by losing somebody to cancer, they probably will at some point. It's almost inevitable that you live for decades and decades, you're going to know somebody who does get massively impacted and affected by it.
The statistics show 1 out of 2.
One out of 2.
That will know somebody with cancer.
I've already had a handful of people, and I'm young. And so I can only imagine that in another 30, 40, 50 years, how many people I won't be able to count them all, unfortunately. Well, that's why I love what you guys are doing. I'm passionate as well, which, I mean, I think finding an investor who believes in the thing should be pretty easy for you guys. How have you been able to go out and articulate the value of what you have and get people on board with it, even if they're not going to maybe benefit financially? Because I think sometimes people think, hey, how do I get people to believe in this, support it, and promote it? You maybe won't call them a joint venture or an affiliate, but just promote it as an advocate, saying, I believe in this thing, you should check it out, if they won't be financially incentivized. Because I know in the doctor space, most doctors refer things because they get paid for it in some way.
We can argue about that, but you know, we do care about the patients. I think that, that's why what I'm doing is very specific and particular, because I spent decades of my life writing grants, right? You know, basically you have an idea, you write a grant application that could go up to 100 pages to convince other people to give you the money to do that. So it's like being an entrepreneur, go and talk to other people to try to convince them about your vision, your idea. it's like writing a grant. The chance for successful to get a grant is 5%. So entrepreneurship, getting investors in the same ballpark, 5% success. So I think we just keep going, and hopefully someday we meet somebody that share exactly what I'm passionate about, and so that we can work together.
What do you feel like? I know that you've gone from being a doctor to being in the entrepreneurial realm, which is a transition in itself. So from making that leap, it's a tough leap. Not a lot of people make it, especially from a position like you're at in being a doctor. What's your advice for the aspiring entrepreneur who wants to cut their cord from their job and get started in business? What's some of the advice you have?
Well, for me, I find there's similarities and there's differences. The similarities, hardworking, have goals, and believe in what you're doing. So that's one part. So everybody's will be on the same space. The difference is the freedoms, the choice of being able to design your own day, your own vision, and I find that fun. So for people, certainly you need to have a little bit of saving to be able to eat and sleep, right? But if you can I think I keep going back to belief, but I think that if you believe that this is what you need to do, at some point you have to cut the umbilical cord.
Well, I think there's probably a lot of people out there that are inspired by the fact that you have gone all in on your dreams and your mission. And I think that it's something that I'm excited to see scale out and hear about in the future. And if somebody says, hey, I would love to reach out to you, follow you, or maybe even learn more about what you guys are doing on your website, what would that be?
So it's going to be unclegambit.com.
Okay.
And then email it to me.
I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Hannah.
After this short break, more Business Rock Stars. I'm Alex Worley, and this is Business Rock Stars. Joining me, my rock star, Robert Gaskill. He's the CEO of Motive. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
You bet. So tell me, what is Motive?
Motive is a black car service that utilizes electric vehicles. Our fleet only has Teslas in them.
So cool that it only has Teslas. Why
Yes.
Teslas? Why did you have such a passion for Teslas and want to make your business around it?
Teslas, because it's the new innovative product on the market. Everybody wants one. Everybody wants to be seen in one. They're absolutely amazing. The cars drive themselves. Obviously, when you
have
use...
drivers though, right?
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Okay. I was about to say, wow.
Yes. With that technology, the cars have cameras 360 degrees around them. There's sensors and everything and safety features built into these vehicles that are absolutely perfect for the safety of our client. And then you add a trained chauffeur to that mix. Your level of service is unmatched, I believe, from any other black car service that's out there.
Yeah.
Teslas, of course, being a zero-emission vehicle. We don't use gasoline. We don't have fluids in the vehicle. There's nothing that is polluting the environment. And our clients are very much environmentally conscious. And they want to make sure, and by using our service, that they are doing good for the environment.
Yeah, part of building a brand is having values, having company values. And one of your values that really comes through when I go on your website and talk to you is sustainability, right?
Yes.
And that's something that your customers obviously really value themselves.
Absolutely.
And they get to drive in a luxurious vehicle while being sustainable. So pretty good package there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. Love the story behind your company. Take me from the beginning when you were working for Morgan Freeman.
I started out very young in motion picture and TV business as a Teamster. I was 19. And my first movie that I ever worked on was City Slickers. My uncle was a transportation manager on that show at Universal Studios. And Billy Crystal was my first client. And from there...
That you would drive?
Yes, that I would drive, yes, on that show. And from there, I went from movie to movie and eventually was blessed to meet Morgan Freeman. On the set of Outbreak, I was driving Dustin Hoffman on Outbreak, but I took care of Morgan a couple times on that movie and then became his full-time driver on a movie called Seven that he and Brad Pitt were in. Yes.
I watched it.
And from there, I've been with him for 23 years.
Wow, you must be a good driver that he wanted to keep you around.
He's a good man. I think he's much more
cool.
loyal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. So you had a great career as
Yes.
a driver, and then at some point, you came up with a business idea. Tell me about that.
Yes, believe it or not, it was this time exactly last year at Super Bowl.
Okay.
3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and was thinking about wanting to step out of traveling so much for work and actually start to build a life and a business in Los Angeles and kind of stay put. Well, a natural fit for me was the transportation business. And knowing that Mr. Freeman was already loved his personal Tesla that he had, figured, well, why don't we start a black car service using Teslas, the Model S's and the Model X's, and came up with a business plan and definitely spoke about social responsibility to clean energy and sustainable energy and the business model for starting a black car service in Los Angeles. Of course, jumping through all of the hoops with licensing and insurance and airports and made things extremely difficult.
Wow.
But the fun part of it is you get to step then into marketing and advertising and actually pushing your business and getting it out there for everybody to utilize and have fun and enjoy. We just were involved with the Grammys yesterday, and one of the things that we've noticed with our Model X cars is they have the Falcon Wing doors. If you want to arrive not only in style, but actually make a statement, and not just make a statement, but scream, class, and here I am, when those doors open up, everybody stops and looks to see who's coming out of that vehicle.
So as a driver, you probably worked for another company, right?
Yes.
And then now you own your own company. So what was that transition like, working for someone else and now working for yourself? And of course, your investor, Morgan Freeman.
I have made mistakes. I have certainly made mistakes as an employee, and I've certainly made mistakes as a manager and an owner of a company. But one of the things that Mr. Freeman, even myself, say as a manager and an owner is when you make a mistake, learn from it and move forward, because that's only going to make your business stronger. It's only going to make your employees trust you that much more. And that was one of the main things that I made sure that I brought over from the last company that I worked with. And when we started Motive, is don't lose sight of the mistakes that you've made. Make sure that you continually use them and grow from them.
Great advice. So much more when we come back with my guest, Robert Gaskill, CEO of Motive.
Hey, have you ever thought to yourself, I would like to become an entrepreneur? You can join one of the largest communities on the planet now, free. Go to cofounderslab.com. Cofounderslab.com. That's cofounderslab.com.
I'm Alex Worley, and this is Business Rockstars. Joining me, Robert Gaskill. He is the CEO of Motive. And you were telling me that you have a strength when it comes to taking advantage of free resources, because you are part of an association that's been really, really helpful. Tell me about that.
I am a board member on the Greater California Livery Association, the GCLA, for the state of California. And one of the most important resources that I found early on with starting my business was there are memberships out there, groups out there of other business leaders and business owners just like me that are willing to mentor and take questions and help you through really serious processes. A good example, for instance, of the association that I'm part of, within transportation, you deal with the CHP and the DMV and the state of California. And sometimes you get audited, and, you know, new businesses that have never had those processes happen before it can be overwhelming. It can literally scare you into making some serious mistakes. And calling out and reaching out to certain memberships and associations and having those resources in place early on, knowing you have somewhere to go, somebody to reach out to, will really help you out and show you that it's not as scary of a process to have to go through. And every single business has those particular oversights from the state and the federal government in different ways. So definitely reach out to a bigger corporation or reach out to those associations and have that in your back pocket.
So now that you are a business owner, a CEO, you're wearing a lot of hats, probably that you've worn for the first time. So what's one of the hats and roles that you have now that has proven to be maybe the most challenging?
Well, to be honest, one of the hats that I wear is I even detail the cars. I do everything from the answering the phones to cleaning the cars to mopping floors and doing everything that I don't expect any of my other employees to do. I find that my relationship in life is my business. And if I don't take care of it as a part of me physically, and treat it with that respect and love, I'm not going to get it back. And I feel that if I also show that level of interest, my employees pick up on that. And the business gets that back from them as well.
Yeah, they often say lead by example.
Yes.
So if you're doing all those details and the dirty work sometimes, then your employees are going to more likely do it as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, fingers crossed, exactly. So how else would you describe your leadership style?
Well, I am not a micromanager. I believe once you are trained and you're given all the tools to do your job, I need to allow you to interpret those lessons and rules and go out and be your own person and your own employee and be an individual asset, not a clone of me, but your own individual person. And you might find that in that process that one of your employees actually has something else that you've been missing that you can train all your other employees on, or even yourself. So I don't ever want to be known as somebody who micromanages or clips the wings of anybody. Or I do know that I am not one that believes in shaming or arguing or disciplining employees in any way.
Have you ever had to be the enforcer, though?
I'm a very empathetic individual to a fault, and I've had to step up and actually state certain things, and that's probably one of the most difficult parts of being a manager and being an owner, is knowing when to be a friend, when to be a listener, and when to be a manager.
So how have you navigated all those roles?
It's been difficult.
You're
it's
like,
been
I'm still
interesting.
figuring it out. Ask me next year.
Ask me next year. Yes, it's you literally have to catch yourself in the moment and know that you need to be their manager. They need leaders. They want to know that there's somebody there that they can go to that's in that management role that they can gain confidence from. And sometimes you have to pull from somewhere really deep within you to find that positive energy in a negative situation, for instance. And that's probably been the most difficult part of being an owner and a manager of a business, is finding that.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time and all your insight today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for sharing the time with us, and we'll see you next time on Business Rockstars.